Have you ever heard an idea maybe for the 100th time, but this time it just smacks you up the head like, dang, that's heavy? Well, that's what happened to me recently about our word today. And to be honest, this is so convicting to me that I feel like a terrible hypocrite for sharing it with you because I sure don't have this all figured out. But then I realize this is my calling. I sharpen myself when I share these ideas, and I need sharpening in this one as much as any other I've shared in a while. So I'm going to share some thoughts about integrity that I expect to help sharpen me and hopefully help you as well. So, hey friends, it's Chad Husted with TeamQuadzilla.com, here to share a mental fitness thought of the day because we know healthy living starts between your ears. I have the impression that most people believe they have integrity. It's pretty easy for us to think well of ourselves, just as it is easy to look at someone else and reason they do not have integrity, right? I mean, just look around. The daily news is filled with scandals where a person many esteem is found to be caught in some terrible mess that has ruined their reputation. The masses quickly lose their trust in this person, and as a result of the mess that they're in, a mess that's usually rooted in a violation of their integrity, right? So before I go any further, let's just define integrity. According to the dictionary, integrity refers to a firm adherence to a code of especially moral or artistic values. It's honesty and incorruptibility. You've probably heard it defined as who you are when nobody's looking, or another way to think of it, integrity is when our behavior matches our beliefs. And this is different than reputation, which is who other people think we are. Integrity is who we really are. We have integrity when our public and private life are aligned. And this is a big deal because if I'm honest, there is most certainly a gap between what I believe and how I actually behave. Do you relate? By the definitions I just shared, if there is a gap, then there's not integrity. Behaviors don't likely match beliefs every time. And quite likely, there are things that we do in private that we don't do in public. For example, you probably believe that stealing is wrong, but have you taken office supplies from your work? Or if the cashier gives you too much change, do you go back and turn it in? Or how about this? I bet you also believe that lying is wrong. Yet, has someone close to you, someone you trust, asked you how you're doing and you reply with, "I'm fine," when you are literally falling apart on the inside? You are most definitely not fine, and yet you project this image that you are. And projecting a false image like this is pretending. It's wearing a mask. It's the very definition of hypocrisy, which is the opposite of integrity. Man, maybe you found yourself in a situation with others where you end up participating in some activity or a conversation that betrays your inner conviction. And instead of removing yourself or speaking up, you just play along not to ruffle any feathers. In such moments, we're sacrificing our integrity because our behavior doesn't match our beliefs. Yikes, this is real, right? We may not have the integrity we think we do. These may seem like silly examples, but it could also apply to other behaviors we hide, like maybe you hide your cigarettes or your booze and you hoard a pile of gum and breath mints to cover up your secret habit. Or maybe you hide credit card statements from your spouse to cover your secret expenses. Or maybe you gamble or watch pornography or entertain a relationship that you know is wrong, and you'd likely not admit these things when you're confronted. Maybe you behave differently at home than you do at work or at church. Oh man, integrity is really hard, but before you despair, you are not alone. We are all guilty. We all lack integrity somehow. Well, so what then? If we all lack integrity, well, what's the big deal? Well, let me explain a few reasons why we should be prioritizing closing the gap between what we believe or what we say our values and convictions are and how we actually behave. Okay? So reason number one, why you should live a life of integrity. We have a built-in guide. Proverbs 11:3 says, "The integrity of the upright guides them, but the unfaithful are destroyed by their duplicity. In other words, your decisions and choices are much easier when your behavior and your beliefs are aligned. You'll make better choices and you'll stay on the right path when choosing in integrity. Conversely, betraying integrity with your decisions leads to big problems. Trying to keep up the duplicity of hiding your secret is exhausting and stressful. You become a slave to your duplicity, and it destroys your self-esteem too. Number 2, integrity as our guide will give us peace in our heart. Whenever we choose to behave in violation of integrity, there is stress and anxiety. It's exhausting to put up the false front, to wear the happy face when we're not, to hide the secrets we carry, right? Think about what it would be like if your secret thoughts and actions were posted for all to see. Would you be embarrassed? If you're honest, the answer is yes. And yikes! But when we live in integrity, we have nothing to hide and nothing to prove. And there is incredible freedom and peace in that. Number 3, with integrity, when public and private life is aligned, when the gap is closed between belief and behavior, we gain trust, respect, honor, and influence. And you know this is true. Those you respect have integrity. They are real and honest and trustworthy. They're not perfect, but they own their flaws and their failures. And we look up to such people, admiring them even. It's no surprise, though, they've worked really hard to align their values with their behavior. And we can be the type of people others trust and respect too, but only when we demonstrate integrity. We also know people we can't trust or respect. We often refer to these people as hypocrites, right? The opposite of integrity. A hypocrite is an actor, one who is pretending to be someone that they're not, one who wears a mask to hide who they really are. Now, before we go shaking our finger at those hypocrites that we know, let's look in the mirror and take a sober self-assessment, because as I already said, there's hypocrisy in all of us somewhere. Okay, so integrity is hard, and if you're like me, you want to grow in this area because the benefits are great. But how do we do it? How do I close the gap between what I believe, my values and convictions, and how I behave in everyday life? Well, don't roll your eyes at me, but you need to get to know Jesus in the Bible. He's the one that first said, let your yes be yes and your no be no. Let Jesus help you live in the freedom and blessing of integrity. If you don't know where to start, I'd be honored to introduce you to Jesus. He's a personal friend of mine. Now, don't get me wrong, knowing Jesus doesn't automatically give you integrity, but he is ready to help, and he will help as much as we allow him to. It's still up to us to choose. So do what you say you're going to do, right? That's Integrity 101. Also, doing what you say is a lot easier when you know what your values and convictions are. So you need to write them down and tattoo them in your mind and always choose in alignment with them. Then you can have the benefits you really want. Freedom and peace and confidence and trust and respect and honor and influence, just to name a few. Finally, take off your mask. No more pretending, no more acting. Be honest. Confess and apologize where you need to. Live your values. No one is perfect, but being real and vulnerable as appropriate will earn you more trust and respect than any mask that you can wear. I'm totally preaching to myself here, by the way. So, there you go. Integrity is hard. We need mental and spiritual fitness to choose well every day to align our public and our private life. That's part of the mental fitness journey that will last your entire life. So I'm here with you. Let's do this together, right? We're better together. Thank you for watching your Team Quadzilla Mental Fitness Thought of the Day. And hey, if this has been encouraging to you in some kind of way, please share it with somebody else.